All right, we're up and running. Turn a little game audio on, so it's Honi. You probably won't be able to hear it, but for anybody that's in here right now, just kind of a little test run here that we want to maybe try to do a little bit during the playoffs. I'm gonna toy around with formatting and stuff like that. Let me know what you guys think in the chat, in the comments, as far as like ideas you'd want to see. I've got me and Honi just up on the left side of the screen here, and then kind of the play-by-play. One issue that I'm noticing is the play-by-play sometimes can get quite a bit ahead of my feed. And Honi's feed, I think, is a little bit ahead of mine too. So, but we're not really doing like play-by-play with this. It's more like just reacting live and sharing our thoughts during the game and just kind of watching the game with you guys. So yeah, I just want to give it a shot and kind of see how the rest of the game goes, and kind of just go take it game by game. But Honi, so far so good, man.
Yeah, everything looks basically how we would want it to look. Other than, I guess, Dennis has looked kind of rusty, but LeBron and AD have looked really good tonight. Rest of the team hasn't been amazing by their standards, but keeping the Pacers in the game a little bit longer than they should, I think. But overall, I think it's a pretty positive game.
Yeah. Yeah, Dennis has looked. I feel like all of his misses have been woefully short, so it could just be a matter of getting his legs back. Every time Drummond finishes a lob, I'm always kind of a little surprised.
Yeah, he's looked pretty good too, which I think isn't surprising. The Pacers are like maybe the worst rebounding team in the league, and that's exactly the type of team that Drummond should be dominating against. But it's good to see him actually do it.
Yeah. David Trigg, welcome in. Yeah, like I said, always open to feedback on how this can be improved. Like I said, this is a test run. Lakers are up, as you can see on the play-by-play. It's going to be ahead of my audio, but if you guys don't want the audio, let me know. I just think it's kind of good to have to show you, I guess, where I'm at, especially in case I do any of these solo or whatever. So. I still can't believe the Rockets didn't get Karis LeVert in that trade.
I actually tweeted about this too. Like, they got a good amount of draft picks, Karis LeVert and Jared Allen from the Nets for James Harden, and they were like, we don't want Karis LeVert or Jared Allen. Those two basically got traded like overall for Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk. It's pretty much what they got for those two.
Yeah, I don't know, man, and because they got Oladipo and then they traded him, for nothing because he didn't want to play. He didn't want to play for a tanking franchise long term. Weird,
crazy.
And he went from Houston to Miami, like a team with. I mean, obviously Oladipo I think is out for the year now, but who wouldn't want to play in Miami, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I personally would like to be rich, multimillionaire living in Miami. That'd be probably a pretty good idea.
Yeah, if they want to sign me, I can do what Udonis Haslem does. I can come in for 3 minutes the entire season and get ejected.
I'd be great at that. Drummond looking better with Braun and AD, better than Gasol for sure. He's definitely looking better. It's just it's going to be matchup based. Some matchups are going to be better for Gasol. Some matchups are going to be better for Drummond. So it's a good luxury, a good problem to have for the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of seeing it in these last few games with the Lakers kind of ramping up for the playoffs. I mean, they're not really at 100% intensity 100% of the time, but in terms of their rotations, you can kind of see what Vogel is working with, and see some games where Trez doesn't play because the matchup doesn't seem right, or some games where Marc Gasol doesn't play because the matchup doesn't seem right, like today.
Yeah.
And against the Rockets. So I think Drummond seems to be the guy that's always going to be in the rotation for the most part. I wonder how that changes in, let's say, a series against the Nuggets, for example, where Jokic might have a lot of success against them, and Marc Gasol seems like the much better fit. Yeah. But overall, it kind of seems like he's kind of penciled into the lineup, and then Mark and Tress are kind of alternating based on what the matchup is.
Yeah, Lakers have two of the better matchups, I think, or two of the better guys in the league to match up with a guy like Jokic with AD and Marc Gasol.
Yeah.
KCP's been really good in this game too. 5 of 7, 13 points right now.
Yeah, definitely really came alive in this third quarter. Defensively, though, man, I don't know what is up with him losing Doug McDermott in the same spot on the floor like 5 times this game.
I feel like the Lakers defense hasn't been super focused today, and I think I'm curious to see if they really crank it up here going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Because we know they have that switch where they can just all of a sudden go from like not caring to absolute juggernaut on both ends. So.
Yeah, the bench lineups I think just haven't been very good today. A lot of guys like Kuzma hasn't really been involved. Cousins has been pretty good. But.
I was really curious to see how they came out in this game. Actually, obviously, I think I'm pleasantly surprised so far. I mean, they're up 10, 32 seconds left in the third quarter. Are going to get close to 100 points in 3 quarters, which is good because offense has been more the issue this year than the defense. But there was a couple factors that I thought, this could be a recipe for a letdown game. The early start time, number one. You see it, I think, in the NFL a lot, like when West Coast teams travel to the East Coast and they have to play essentially at 10 a.m. their time. It's tough for guys to kind of get going a little bit. So I was curious to see if that was going to have an impact. It's also, when you get a guy like LeBron, you get Schroeder back, you get all these guys back, it is natural, I think, to kind of let your guard down a little bit and relax because you think, oh, LeBron's back, he'll take care of whatever.
But, yeah, pretty much. That makes a lot of sense, actually. And plus these guys, like, you kind of expect a guy like LeBron to really be working through his own issues a lot in these sort of games, especially since they don't have a lot of practice time. He did practice, I think, 2 days ago. But so you kind of expect some of the flow of the offense to not be as great because of that. But no, I mean, offensively at least, they've been really, really good throughout the whole game.
Good block by Trez there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like every one of Dennis's misses today has been short. So, and that's why you want to get these guys a couple of games, right? Before the games that really matter. You didn't want to just have them. That's why I'm curious to see, like with Utah, if they get a team like Golden State in the first round or us. Donovan Mitchell's been out for a while, and he's basically just going to be thrown back into the mix right when the playoffs start. So, I'll be curious to see how that kind of goes because it could take a few games, I think, to really kind of shake the rust off and get your legs back and get back in game shape.
Yeah, I think Conley is playing the last couple of games for that reason after he missed a pretty big chunk of time actually with a hamstring injury. So makes sense. A lot of teams right now are in between trying to like either improve or get worse in their seeding positions and also ramp up for the playoffs. It's a very strange weekend. Everybody's kind of just like jockeying for a position.
Or tanking for a position if you're a certain team from across the hall.
Hey, man, I'll take it. I believe, I'm actually sure about this now. There's 0% chance the Lakers play the Clippers in the first round.
Yep.
If they do make the playoffs, so.
Yeah, with the way the games all shook out yesterday, you highlighted on Twitter, but for those people that are watching, because I was talking to a couple people about it, and they didn't believe it at first when I said it, but because the Nuggets and the Clippers are essentially tied for the 3 spot, which knocks the Clippers down to 4 because the Nuggets won 2 out of 3 against the Clippers this year, so they have the tiebreaker. If the Nuggets do lose the last game, they would lose to Portland, which if Portland wins the last game, then the Lakers would fall to 7. and so obviously 7 can't play 3 or 4.
Yep.
So yeah, and if the Clippers finish 4, the Lakers can't get up to 5 because Dallas, I think, is locked in at the 5 now. So,
Correct.
which is crazy because like early in the year they didn't look good, but
Yeah.
Carlisle's
Yeah,
a solid coach, and you got Luka. So
Yeah. Hey. Spoiler alert. Dennis just hit a 3.
Raptors Pacers tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. That's where I'm at right now. How good does LeBron look? I mean, LeBron looks solid. I mean, I was telling Honi before we went on, I was kind of surprised when I looked at his shooting numbers because it seemed like he was struggling quite a bit from a scoring perspective at times in this game. But he's been surprisingly efficient. But just the playmaking and the gravity that he has, I think, is what the team really missed. For obvious reasons, right? LeBron is LeBron, and he's going to garner so much attention. But nice to see Dennis get one to go there because, like I've said a couple times, he's been very short on some of these. And T.J. McConnell dribbling off his leg out of bounds. You always love to see that, too.
T.J. McConnell, very, strangely good player. You kind of just don't expect it. Not just because of how he looks, but
he's really stuck around in the league.
And defensively, he's a pest.
Yeah, he's annoying as hell. And I mean that in a good way.
He's a funny dude too. There was a video going around on Twitter a while back of just a bunch of mic'd up segments with him, and he is hilarious.
And that's that stuff matters. Being a good teammate and playing defense, playing hard. You need guys like that on your team.
I believe he's a free agent this year too, so some team's gonna really like getting him. I think if he doesn't stick with the Pacers.
I would say the Lakers could sign him, but Chris Paul is going to opt out of his $40-something million option and sign with the Lakers for the mid-level exception. So it's all good.
Exactly.
We just don't have
Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, or both.
Yeah, why not? We'll have the thickest guard rotation in the league. Chris Paul, Kyle Lowry, and THT.
Oh, man. Perfect. All right, so Lakers are up 11 with 10 minutes to go. Really need them to hold on and now 14. Kuzma just hit a 3. Really need them to win this game just for the chaos purposes that it'll cause going into tomorrow's final day of the regular season. Because if the Lakers lose this game, they're essentially, I think they clinch the 7 spot. They can't go up or down. So need this just for all the jockeying for position that can be done. I'm curious to see if the Nuggets are going to play all their guys against Portland. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to go. It seems like teams are really trying to avoid playing the Lakers in the first round, which I don't blame them. I mean, you're playing against you're playing against the defending champions and probably the best team in the league when fully healthy. I think the Nets could probably have an argument there, but God, they've only been fully healthy for 8 or 9 games or so.
Yeah. So those 2 games are at the same time tomorrow. Lakers playing the Pelicans and Blazers and Nuggets. Like I said, I don't know. If I was a Nuggets fan, I would want to tank that game because you win that and you're basically, obviously depending on how the Lakers play tomorrow, but you're basically guaranteeing that you would play against them in the first round. Whereas if you lose, you're playing against the Blazers in the first round who, they've had success against before. And, it's definitely a lot more even of a matchup, even without Jamal Murray for them. Plus, you're forcing the Lakers to play in that playing game. And if, crazy things could happen and all of a sudden the Lakers don't make the playoffs because of a couple of bad games. And now the Nuggets, if they fancy themselves as a team that can make a run for the finals, they don't have to go through the Lakers at all that way. So, yeah. I don't know. It makes a lot of sense for them to rest guys, but at the same time, Nikola Jokic says I want to play because I want to stay in rhythm for the playoffs, and they're going to have a week off. So A lot of guys might not want that extra day of rest. So who knows? All of a sudden, some crazy things can happen.
I will say for the Nuggets fans that have said in the last like 24 hours or so, after the Clippers lost, tanked. I've seen some Nuggets fans that have said, "Bring on the Lakers." One, careful what you wish for, but two, I respect the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Especially watching what the Clippers did. I mean, Ivica Zubac went in for I think 3 minutes, shot a 3-pointer, and then came out. Like, what's the point of even playing? Like, you really wanted him to shoot a 3 in game that badly? Like, I don't know, man. You can't tell me the Clippers were serious about winning that game with stuff like that.
So I also find it, obviously we're guessing that they tend to avoid the Lakers, which is probably a decent assumption. I mean, they have rested guys before, but that game specifically, like you said, there's some weird shenanigans going on like that. But if I'm the Clippers, I want to play the Lakers in the first round. I'd much rather play them now when they're still getting guys to like play with each other almost for the first time this season. Like this lineup that is probably going to be starting for the Lakers in the playoffs has only played. This is their second game together. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to get them early and give yourself a better chance of knocking them out rather than waiting until they get their rhythm together. And now all of a sudden you're playing a full strength Lakers team that's feeling a lot more confident because they just want a playoff round.
Right. You're flirting with disaster a little bit by allowing the Lakers to get a ramp up series and then getting them in the second round.
Unless you just feel really strongly about the Suns or Jazz beating the Lakers, which, I mean, fair enough, I guess, but I don't know. To me, it doesn't make a ton of sense.
I personally think it would be hilarious if basketball karma, the basketball gods, shun the Clippers and the Clippers somehow lose in the first round. Either lose in the first round or they get like the Jazz in the second round because they tanked to the 4 seed and the Jazz just obliterate them and hit just a ton of threes and knock them out.
That would be a crazy series. I'd actually be really interested in that series because, both of those teams shoot a ton of threes and are very good at it. So
exactly.
That would just be a very explosive series, and I wouldn't be shocked about that just being close all the way throughout and one team winning by a couple points in Game 7.
Yeah, that's exactly my thoughts. I want to see that would be a really fascinating matchup, especially obviously with the latest like CDC guidelines and stuff like that and the recommendations. I feel like Utah is going to have I don't know if they're going to have like sellout crowds or anything, but they're going to have a lot of people in that building, and that's a tough place to go win because that I've experienced it firsthand many times since that's the closest NBA city to me, and I grew up making many trips over there to see the Lakers play. That place gets rocking, and it's a very hostile environment, so it's a tough place to play.
Yeah, I guess we still haven't heard about if they're going to open up more seats at Staples Center either.
I think they just did, or like they have without any kind of announcement because there's no way. Seeing some of the shots, like maybe like courtside shots and stuff like that, there's no way that's 10% capacity or whatever.
Yeah. Kyle Kuzma just threw a pass off the rim and it still went to a Laker.
That's just how you draw it up, right there. When your passing is that sharp and like just that pinpoint. From an accuracy standpoint, you can do stuff like that. That's how I'm going to rationalize it, at least. I wonder if the Lakers are going to wear the blue jerseys during the playoffs.
It's hard to keep track, man. They got so many jerseys. You got, what, 6 jerseys this year?
I think so.
Yeah.
2 blue-themed ones.
Yeah.
Like a dark gray or black one.
Oh, and then the regular 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. They're only playing 16 playoff games and 6 jerseys for that. That's crazy.
You're the math genius on that. That's what? 2 and then...
Yeah.
Yeah, 2.5. Let's see. Danny says... Danny says Drummond's not a defender. I mean, he's not your traditional, like the traditional big man defender that I think that you would want. I mean, you're not really. That's not really his role on this team, I guess. Playing defense. I mean, he's going to be a guy that tries to be a big body in the paint, especially offensively, and create extra possessions for you with his offensive rebounding and cleaning up the defensive glass, which to me is part of being a defender, is securing the basketball and ending the defensive possession. But yeah, I mean, like when you look at a guy like, you know, these elite big guys like AD and Rudy Gobert, like he's not going to be anything like that. but he still has value on this team.
Yeah, his best asset defensively, I think, is that he has pretty quick hands, which is kind of ironic given that his hands offensively aren't great. But defensively, he gets into passing lanes. He'll get down low and try to knock your dribble away in pick and roll situations. And every once in a while, he does a pretty good job of meeting guys at the rim and getting some blocks. But yeah, overall, defensively, I don't think he's very good. He's a little slow. Doesn't have great positioning, doesn't have great instincts, but all of that matters a whole lot less when Anthony Davis is playing alongside you. And even LeBron, you know, both of those guys are just great at erasing mistakes. So, you know, it just simplifies his role a whole lot more than it has been when those guys haven't been playing.
Mm-hmm. So Dennis getting in the middle of a little kerfluffle, that's part of the comeback process for him. I feel like that's
Absolutely.
Him and Trez together, both getting into it with the Pacers. That's the team definitely getting back to form right there. All right, so 11-point game, 7:46. That was a long, 2.5 minutes or so since I mentioned that it was 10 minutes left in the game. But
yeah.
Lakers holding steady right now. Got to keep getting some defensive stops, and they'll be all right.
Weird play.
I do like this lineup that they have on the floor, though, with Dennis, Wesley, McLemore. I think as McLemore he hits the three. Are they counting it, or are they having to review it?
I think they're looking at it right now to see if it was. But they should count it.
I was just about to say, I'd rather have KCP out there in McLemore's spot, and then McLemore hits a three, because of course. But you got Trez out there as well with Schroeder and Kuzma, I believe.
Yeah,
pretty.
I do like that
fast lineup.
Yeah, and I do like that they're playing a couple of these non-LeBron and non-AD lineups today. Obviously, I very much doubt we'll see them in the playoffs at any point, but for today, it's one, you're resting LeBron a little bit, not overworking him, and then two, I think it gives Schroeder some time to just get reps as the main guy, and go fast and try to run some offense specifically through him. And I think that's a good way to kind of get him going.
That's a really weird call. I feel like that's just two guys battling for a rebounding position, and they just.
Yeah, I guess they're just calling because he's not really boxing out; he's just shoving. But very weird thing to have a 5-minute review over.
Yeah.
I also don't know what there is to review at this point. If you called the foul, it was clearly as the ball was in the air.
Yeah, I don't. It's almost like the ref was watching them and was anticipating they were about to get into it because of their little scuffle just a minute ago.
Yeah.
Let's do the old classic double foul, count the basket, and let's move on. Nothing I love more than a good old double foul or a double technical foul. Also, my audio is the Pacers broadcast, so that's why I kind of shut it off, because they're really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, most Most of the NBA broadcasts are really bad.
So was that a challenge then? Because I think they took the foul.
Okay.
But they
That was a lot of time to say basket.
make the right call.
Basket good. Foul on Trez. Let's move on. The big thing there is the 3 count, so pushes the Lakers lead back up to 14.
And by the sounds of it, it was a challenge, which, I mean, good job you won it, but it saves 1 point, a potential point.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of weird.
So, as you can see on the screen, ESPN right now has the Lakers up 110-97 with 7:20 left at a win percentage of 98.
Oh boy!
So, no pressure to finish this thing off. Of course, now that I said that, I'm expecting a run from the Pacers, just to make it interesting, you know. But so far, only 9 points in the fourth quarter for Indy through almost 5 minutes. So a little bit better considering they went 28, 28, and 32.
Yeah, it might be running a little bit out of gas. They've only played 9 guys, and the 9th guy's only played 4 minutes. So they are
good work by Trez on the offensive glass too. I can't imagine having to be matched up with Trez and just like when you're guarding him, you're like, oh, this isn't too bad, and then like the ball goes up in the air, and you're just like, yeah. Guarding guys like that has to be the worst. Hopefully the Lakers can extend this lead out, make a little push here in the next like 3 minutes or so, maybe blow this thing open, and LeBron and AD don't need to come back in and can just rest up for tomorrow. That is kind of the nice thing about this back-to-back is it's not like a traditional back-to-back, right? Because the Lakers will be done here in the early afternoon, and then they don't play until tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I've always thought it was weird, though, to have like the back-to-backs where you play up north and then you travel all the way south. Like going from Indiana
from LA to Indy,
to New Orleans tomorrow. I'll be curious to see how the Lakers approach that. I feel like, I mean, assuming they hold on and win this game, I mean, you would think they would play guys, right? Like get LeBron like another game to ramp up and kind of shake off the rust. Same with Dennis, and plus you could potentially play yourself out of the play-in game. So.
Yeah, and LeBron, no matter what, is going to have fewer than it looks like he's about to come check back in. He's going to play fewer than 30 minutes tonight. So they're obviously being cautious, but I think they would want him to play just to get more of his legs under him. Definitely the same with Dennis because he's rusty. I would imagine they don't rest AD either, but you never know. So he's been nursing a few different injuries. So
yeah. He has looked good today, though. He has looked very, very good, which was encouraging. Mobility has looked really good and doesn't look like he's in any discomfort out there. So, all right, well, we got to survive for another half a quarter with an 11-point lead. Of course, we got, some more reinforcements coming back into the game, so let's get a nice little 2-3 minute push here. If the Lakers win the next like 3 minutes, and then they'll pretty much wrap this one up. So, but a lot of time left though. 11 points in 6 minutes has definitely been done before several times.
Yeah, there's nothing in the NBA right now.
Danny on YouTube asks, do you think the Suns and Jazz are going to be that good in the playoffs?
Um, I mean, yeah, I think they're very, very good teams. I don't think there's a team in the Western Conference playoff picture that's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it, a team like Golden State could make the playoffs as the 8 seed, or they could miss it. And they're not a great team, but they have a top 5 player in the world on their team. So yeah, I mean, I think everybody's good in the West. I think it has a lot more to do with matchups and whether you're built to play against different kinds of teams. We saw the Lakers last year win the championship because they were so versatile and they could, play small against a team like the Rockets or play bigger against a team like the Nuggets or what have you. Either win with their defense or with their offense. So you have to be able to really adjust to different sort of matchups in order to get out of the West. I don't know if the Jazz or the Suns really have that sort of versatility. I think they kind of just play their own way, and that might be good enough against some teams. And against the Lakers, I kind of think it isn't if the Lakers are playing at their best. But I don't think that that's really a knock against those teams as much as I do like the knock the Jazz especially. But I think it's just more of it's damn hard to win in the league, especially in the Western Conference. And, this year with the Lakers being a bottom half of the playoff team, it's just really strange because they could quote unquote upset some teams where most people wouldn't even really consider them favorites against the Lakers, even if it's like a 2-7 matchup. Like I wouldn't be surprised. And I would expect it if the 2-7 matchup is Lakers Suns. I think the Lakers would be favored by Vegas and most people.
Yeah, I lean more towards. I could see the Suns struggling more in the playoffs than Utah, just because they're very young and pretty inexperienced playoff wise. I would expect Chris Paul to be ready and to give that team quite a boost and give them a lift. But yeah, I mean, a lot of those guys on the Suns just haven't been there before, and it's a different game in the playoffs. I mean, that's why you see certain like really good NBA players, some of the best players in the world, play differently in the playoffs. I mean, a guy like Paul George, a guy like Rudy Gobert, great regular season players, but have had playoff performances that they're not very good. It's just different, man. It's a different intensity. A team is geared specifically. Their prep is specifically for you. It's not like they played last night and they tried to get ready for you or whatever. Like their attention is fully on you. They're paying closer attention to the details, and every possession is vitally important. There's just no let off. That it's a high intensity all the way through. So it's just different, but I will say on that note, I wanted to bring up how refreshing has it been the last, like, I want to say maybe week or so, at least the last few days, to see a lot of these teams playing just at a different intensity level. Like, we've talked a couple times on this show about the defense this year has almost been non-existent for a lot of the teams, and it's been kind of nice to see teams actually try on that end. So
yeah, it's been awesome. I think it's probably a factor of two different things. One is just the fewer games this season. Obviously, it's been so truncated that I don't think it's necessarily kept teams more fresh, but I think it's just made it so that everybody's a little bit more bunched up in the standings. So there's a lot more jockeying for positioning in the standings, but also these playing games. I think there might be some stuff that the NBA needs to look at in terms of improving it. Like, for example, I think they should go back to the version last year where you had to be within a certain number of games to basically trigger the play-in tournament, so that if a team is 6 games back of the 8th seed, I don't really want them having a chance to make the playoffs. But overall, the play-in tournament's just been a great success. You've got teams that ordinarily would have nothing to play for play hard deep into the season. And obviously, again, like this year is unique in that the Lakers have struggled because of their injuries. So now that they're having to play super hard late in the season to avoid the plan because they don't want to risk anything. So there's a lot of things about it that I think are unique that wouldn't happen every single year. But overall, I think it's been a really big success for the league.
Yeah.
Because usually you get to this part of the season and it's some of the basketball is a chore to watch.
Yeah. All right, things getting a little interesting here. We had somebody say that this was kind of a boring game. It's about to get a little more interesting. Pacers have a shot here with this free throw to make it a 5-point game with just under 4 minutes to play. And I mentioned about the 6-minute mark, if the Lakers could win the next 3 minutes, they were up 111 to 100, and it's safe to say that's not going to happen. So. This might be good, though. This might be good for them to have one of these types of games because the playoffs are going to be filled with these. And if you can't win these types of games, then you're going to struggle to have success in the playoffs. So,
honestly, right now, this is reminding me of me right after my lunch break during work because this is exactly around the time when that would be happening. And just like hitting that wall and not wanting to do anything. This is what the Lakers look like right now.
Lakers had a Popeye's chicken sandwich at halftime, and now it's kind of like settling in their stomach, and they're just getting a little sleepy.
I drove so far to get one on my lunch a couple weeks ago. I was like, I don't know if this was worth it since they won't sponsor us. At least pay for my gas money.
Pay for the mileage. All right, Lakers are kind of struggling defensively right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got a timeout. 3:14 left. Pacers with the basketball. Down 5. Lakers lead 111-106. So defense has been better. They've held Indiana to 18 points here in the fourth quarter so far. Unfortunately, the Lakers have only scored 15 points. So got to get the offense going. Got to get some better shots, and I'd like to get some more stuff going towards the basket because right now they're kind of settling for a lot of jumpers.
It's just your average Lakers 4+ minute scoring drop.
Yeah.
You know how it goes. I would love for somebody to go back and like look at the play-by-play for every game and see how many of those the Lakers average because there has to be at least one a game.
Yeah.
Where they just go 4+ minutes, either scoreless or at least without a field goal.
Yeah. All right. Well, while we have a commercial, Ray on YouTube asked us, "What are our predictions for Blazers Nuggets tomorrow?"
I think the Nuggets end up resting most of their guys and the Blazers win, which would give the Lakers a 7 seed. It just seems like the most reasonable thing to happen.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say the Nuggets have some integrity, and they want to play. They want to get the 3 seed, help Jokic's MVP case a little bit. And not that I think he needs any help at this point, but
yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think they play to win.
I'll take it.
So they're showing the play-in scenario in the East. Hornets Celtics is an interesting matchup, man.
Yeah.
Pacers Wizards. Wizards have been playing pretty damn good basketball lately. So I want to see a scenario where the Celtics lose to the Hornets and then lose to the Wizards and get knocked out. That'd be great.
I don't think it would surprise me either way. Like, I think they're such a weird, inconsistent team that they could just blow a team out of the water and get into the playoffs easily, or completely just flounder and get blown out in both of those games. Also, even if they do make the playoffs, I mean, like, their reward is playing the Nets in the first round, so or the Sixers, I guess.
True.
And without Jaylen Brown, I would say they have 0 chance. even with him, they probably have zero chance. But
There would be something poetic about especially after that trade a few years back, about the Celtics and Nets meeting up in the postseason and the Nets just obliterating them.
it'd be very fun.
All right, well, looks like we got another timeout. 2:51. Anthony Davis going to the line for 2. Lakers up 111-108. So, in natural Lakers fashion, got to make us, sweat this one out. So,
Of course.
such is life as a Laker fan, it seems like. Not that I'm complaining. Defending NBA champion Lakers just like to make things a little more difficult than they have to be sometimes. But I think that's just a quality of my sports teams in general. Because the Titans started 5-0 this past season, and like all 5 games gave me a heart attack. So it was like the most stressful 5-0 I've ever been a part of.
Yes, if that's it, the challenge for this one, they would have won it. Because I don't think that was a foul. Oh, maybe they did. What? I'm confused. I guess the other one wasn't a challenge. Then how? I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
We don't know what's going on. But hey, when the Lakers challenged that play against Lillard, and looks like the Pacers won the call. So,
I mean, I think that's the right call, but like, I don't know why the other one got reviewed and taken off then.
Yeah, I don't.
Or changed to trust.
Like, are we just reviewing?
Unless it was, I don't know, maybe it was originally called on trust too, and they only checked to see if it was before the shot. I guess that would make sense. Whew.
Need a bucket here. Lakers have not scored in over 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes or so. So, and LeBron changes that. Okay, perfect.
You ask and he delivers.
All right, there we go. Little breathing room, little cushion. Lakers now up 6 with the ball, 2.5 minutes to go. Another bucket here really puts some pressure on Indiana. So, I was gonna say I'm getting nervous. And LeBron again, perfect. I was getting nervous that 98% win percentage had dropped to 92. I was surprised it only dropped that far, considering.
Yeah, it was a 3-point game with 2 minutes left. What?
Yeah, like anybody's game. Man, it's good to have LeBron James back, though, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And that we talked about that too, as LeBron scores again. Lakers up 8 now with 1:37. But we talked about how much time LeBron would need to really ramp things up. I mean, he's just such a cyborg that, like, 2 games, that'll probably do it. And, like, most players probably need, like, maybe 10, 15 games or so to really get all the way back. But, yeah, dude's just something else, man. This play-by-play too is cracking me up because, like, it'll just, like, not do anything for a while, and then it's like, bam, 7 plays back to back to back.
That's exactly how basketball happens.
That's like the Lakers offense. Go through a little lull, and then all of a sudden, bam, 10 points in 1 minute and 12 seconds. All right, nothing crazy here. Nothing crazy.
That's hilarious.
God. Some absolute horrible misses. How many rebounds does Drummond have now? Drummond with 15 rebounds today. 11 points, 15 boards for Drummond. Hey, like we said, man, he's got his flaws, but that stuff is impactful to get those rebounds, man.
Absolutely.
Don't take those for granted.
You think we get some uh, THT Sasha Vujacic memorial free throws in the finals this year?
Let's hope it's not, as the Lakers are up by 2 in the final seconds of a Game 7. But, yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I'm cool with it as long as he also fixes his eyebrows.
Gotta fix the hair, little personal grooming. All right, so as you guys can see on the right side of your screen there, Lakers up 120 to 113. 16.8 seconds to go. Pacers called timeout. So looking like this is going to be a Laker win unless something catastrophic happens here at the end, but which will make tomorrow very, very interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of different scenarios can play out.
And speaking of which, the Pelicans, who the Lakers play, just released their injury report, and they're going to be without Steven Adams, Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Zion Williamson. So
essentially, they're starting 5, kind of.
Yeah, and there were 5 best players probably. Yeah, so I mean, unless there's just a weird ass meltdown by the Lakers, they should win that one fairly comfortably. Well, maybe not comfortably, but they should win it. So it'll all come down to that Nuggets-Blazers game, most likely.
Nice. I know a lot of Blazers fans were rooting for the Pacers in this game, hoping that they could breathe easy tomorrow. But it's not looking like that's going to happen. So you're going to have to take care of your business, whether that's against a team that's resting guys or whatnot. But should be a fun last day of the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, who do the Clippers finish off with tomorrow?
Good question.
Or what time do they play? I guess that could play a role, right?
Well, let's see.
Because if they play early and they lose, then that locks the Nuggets in at 3.
They play the Thunder at the same time.
Oh, that's right, the Thunder. So they should win even if they're trying to lose that game, because the Thunder are definitely trying to lose.
They're trying to lose harder than that.
And they've had a lot more practice at it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So, let's see. Okay, Lakers take a timeout, up 5. All they got to do is basically get the ball in here to anyone outside of Andre Drummond, make some free throws, and get out of Indy with a win. So it got a little tight there at the end, but again, barring anything catastrophic here, the Lakers should pull this one out.
Yep.
I don't know how. So this win percentage or win probability is kind of cracking me up because like Lakers were up I think 11 with 6 minutes left and it was at 98%, but up 5 with the ball with 10 seconds left is 98.5%. That mean like 1.5% of games in this scenario have gone to the team that was down by 5.
I don't know how they calculate it.
Feels unlikely.
Yeah, that's interesting actually. I don't know how ESPN calculates those.
And again, if you're just joining, like I mentioned, my feed that I'm watching is behind the play-by-play, so I'm trying to kind of balance the two here. But yeah, I mean, overall, I've been pretty encouraged with what we've seen. I mean, Anthony Davis and LeBron James, 28 points and 24 points respectively. LeBron with 8 assists, AD with 5 assists, 10 rebounds for AD, 7 for LeBron, both shooting 50%. So about all you could ask for, really, especially for LeBron, his first game back. He's only played – this is really only his third game in – a month and a half or so?
Yeah.
So
I think they said he's missed 26 of the last 28 games.
Yeah. So, plus we wondered about AD and where his health was at, given the groin injury that he suffered 2 games ago, and he's looked pretty good. So. And Lakers got the ball to Schroeder. He just running.
It's honestly my favorite thing to come out of this season is them doing that routinely.
Just get it to Dennis and let him use his speed to just run away with the basketball. Alrighty.
All right.
And there it is. The Lakers win 122 to 115. They improved to 41-30 on the season, which creates a lot of possibilities for the games tomorrow. Here, Take My Bits on Twitch says, not gonna lie, I thought this was a trap game. We said the same thing a little earlier for a couple of reasons. One, the early start time. That's always kind of a weird thing, I think, especially when you're a West Coast team and you go East Coast and you play so early. This game started, 10 Pacific time. So I think most professional athletes, especially in the NBA, when you're always playing at night, right, you play at what is 10 o'clock in your brain. It's a little weird. It is really, really weird. But that and... the Pacers aren't a bad team. They were shorthanded in this game. No Sabonis, no Miles Turner, but Brogdon as well. So they were very shorthanded. But they're a team that plays hard. They're kind of a scrappy bunch, and the fact that the Lakers get their stars back when you first get those guys back, it is natural, I think, to let your foot off the gas a little bit. Kind of what we saw when LeBron came back, right? That game against the Kings, where I figured, they're going to be just fine. They're playing the Kings, LeBron's back, and then they end up losing the game. So, but they did enough. It's encouraging to see them score 122 points, given the offensive struggles that we have seen from this team this year. So it's just good to have those guys be back. Dennis obviously working his way back. Missed a lot of shots really short in this game, but got it going there a little later on, which is good. Kind of something you would expect, right? He's gonna have some rust being out for a couple weeks, and he's back, looks healthy, looks good. Just gotta get the shot back in form, and I would anticipate when he gets his legs back a little bit more. That'll be the case.
Yeah, like you said, he definitely got it going a little bit in the second half. I think he was at 3 points, 3 assists in the first half, finished with 14 and 4. So yeah, pretty good sign of him kind of working through that. And yeah, they got one more game tomorrow. Hopefully that helps them get off a little bit more of that rust and get ready for the playoffs, one way or another.
Absolutely. One more game to go. One more game, assuming the Lakers. I guess, I don't know. I almost consider the play-in games as like the playoffs, even though they're like, I guess technically not. But it's playoff. It's a playoff type game.
Right.
The intensity is going to be a lot higher. So, yeah. This was fun. I'm going to try and do this again tomorrow. I'm going to continue to toy around with the format a little bit, see if I can just kind of clean some stuff up. But yeah, if you got those of you that are in the chat, how did you guys like this? You like having kind of the game cast on one side and then having us talk about it on the other side? And I had the game audio. I turned it off because the Pacers broadcast was just awful, and it was behind the play-by-play as well. So maybe when it's like the national broadcasts, maybe maybe not TNT. The broadcast is already delayed enough on like all the Turner broadcasts, but yeah, I don't know. I'll keep toying around with it, and we'll try and get it better suited for the eye and fix it up how you guys want to see. So
Yeah, let us know. I know Donnie and I have also kind of talked about maybe using Twitter Spaces for like halftime stuff. So we're definitely kind of looking at some different options of what we can do to provide some hashtag content during the games too, so you don't have to listen to Mark Jackson.
yeah, about that. So, I mean, if you want to listen to a podcast relating to the Lakers, you can always follow us on all our social media platforms. You can. We're going to be trying to do these more during games and after games. So twitch.tv/Lakers Outsiders. You can follow and subscribe to us there. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can like and follow us on Facebook.com/Lakers Outsiders as well. I mean, it's better than listening to the podcast that Van Gundy and Mark Jackson are going to do during ESPN games. So, yeah, I don't know, but this was fun. I'm looking forward to doing this more often, and definitely again tomorrow. Going to shoot for that, and we'll just kind of tweak things here and there, and try and make this as clean and as fun as we can for you guys. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is the Lakers keep reeling off these wins and making the fans happy. So not much to complain about today. Especially, I mean, this is kind of crazy, right? Like, for me, I mean, I'm an hour ahead of you, but it's 1:40 and the Lakers are already done for the day.
I know. So early games a lot of times suck, but the very nice thing about them is when your team wins them, then the rest of your day is just like beautiful. Everything seems so great. Nothing can get you down. Obviously, the reverse of that is also true, but as a person that watches a lot of European soccer, I have become accustomed to my weekends being shaped by whether my team wins or loses in the morning.
I mean, that's me during football season. Like, my weekend depends very heavily on how the Tennessee Titans play football. So they have a good. They do very well at either making my weekend great or just wrecking the entire thing. So. But no, Honi, I'm going to answer your tweet here in person. Obviously, if Jacob would pay attention, I did fire off a tweet during the first half, first quarter specifically. The reason why we did not go live in the first half was because I was still messing around with this and trying to get it to a format that was, I don't know, a little better suited for a broadcast, and figuring out how I wanted to do it, because I would love to just put the game up on the screen, but I'm pretty sure I would get in trouble if I did that, and I don't need the NBA or the Lakers coming after me, so had to just kind of mess around with it a little bit. And I was also trying to get it a little more in sync because, like I said, the play-by-play was ahead of my feed and stuff like that. So, yeah. So yeah, but no, I mean, like I said, this was fun, and some more games going on right now, as you can see at the top of the screen here on the right side. Good game out east, potential playoff preview with the Heat and the Bucks going on today. The Nets won. Phoenix is destroying the Spurs, which I don't think either team has anything to play for. I think the Suns are pretty much locked into the 2 seed now, and the Spurs
are locked in. Yeah, but I think the Suns, if they win both, and Utah loses against the Kings tomorrow, which, I mean, the Suns would be the 1 seed, which presumably would help them avoid the Lakers. Maybe.
How funny would it be, though, if the Suns somehow snag the 1 seed, the Lakers lose the first play-in game, then win the second one, and the Suns have to play them?
That would be incredible. The other game I think Lakers fans should be looking at is tomorrow at 12:30. The Grizzlies and Warriors play, and whenever that gets the 8 seed. So the Lakers do end up being in the play-in, which is kind of what we're expecting. They will be playing the winner of that game first, and then if they win that, they're the 7th seed. If they lose it, they would have to play the winner of the other team playing against the Spurs, who are locked into the 10th seed, like you said.
We're not going to be in the play-in game. The Denver Nuggets are going to show up. They're going to be ready to play, and they're going to beat Portland. Lakers are going to get a win in New Orleans. Lakers are going to be the 6, and they're going to play the 3-seeded Denver Nuggets in the first round.
This is the most respect you've ever shown for the Nuggets.
Yeah, it's not going to get any higher than this. So, Nuggets fans, just enjoy it right now. If you tank tomorrow, though, that respect goes out the window. Let me just put that out there.
Absolutely.
And that was the thing I was thinking about the last couple of days, too. And last thing I have to say before we kind of sign off here. But there's been a lot of talk about, the Lakers, Laker fans wanting to avoid the Clippers in the first round. And obviously, the last 12 hours or so, the Clippers wanting to avoid the Lakers in the first round. And it's like, there's been many times for me as a sports fan where I thought, I think if my team gets matched up against that team, they'll be just fine. Only for them to get matched up with that team and then get the crap kicked out of them. And I was like, maybe I should just – it's almost like a careful what you wish for kind of thing. Like if you're going to have to beat good teams, especially in the Western Conference. You're going to have to play hard. You have to play really good basketball. So I got to a point like the last couple of days where I think we talked about on the last show of like if you could avoid the Clippers, who I think are the biggest challengers out west to the Lakers, it's ideal because you give more time potentially for LeBron and all Dennis and all these guys to just get some more games under their belt as they work their way back. But it's like careful what you wish for, and at the end of the day, you're going to have to beat a good team regardless. So just play who's in front of you and do whatever you got to do to get 4 wins out of 7.
Yeah. I mean, we've said it so many times. Every team in the West is really damn good. Like the Nuggets might finish as the 4th seed with their second best player missing a pretty good chunk of the end of the season, and the record is going to be pretty much identical to the Nets out east, or maybe a game back. They're a game back of the Sixers, who lead the East right now. So every team in the West is really, really damn good. So at the end of the day, I think certain matchups are more favorable to the Lakers, but if they're going to make the finals, they're going to have to beat 3 really, really good teams, maybe even 4 if you count the play-in, if they do end up being in there. So, we can talk a lot about what team is best for the Lakers to face, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a challenge no matter what.
Yep, 100%. So, all right. We're signing off. We'll be back. At least I will be back. Honi, I don't know if you got plans or whatever tomorrow evening during the Laker game, but I will at least be on here, and we'll be watching the game from the get-go. So, Jacob Rude, you can suck it. And, should be fun. And like I said, I'll continue to tweak some stuff. Russ MVP3 on Twitch. We're doing good. Lakers won today. We got some fun games ahead tomorrow, and we're looking forward to it. Looking forward to all the chaos that can happen tomorrow, and one more day of the regular season, then the playoffs start. Man, there's nothing better than NBA playoff basketball for me. It's so much fun. It's basketball at the highest level, and I'm ready for it. So. All right, guys, we're going to sign off of here. If you want to watch with us tomorrow, remember you can follow or subscribe to us on all 3 of those live platforms that I mentioned. And we'll be back tomorrow for the game, Lakers at Pelicans. And hopefully Lakers can finish off and the season on a strong point and keep this win streak going into the games that really matter. So, all right, for Honi Ahmadian and Gary Kester and the rest of the Lakers Outsiders, we will see you guys tomorrow, but we're signing off.
Shout out to former future Laker Karis LeVert.